This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Amy Zuccaro. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing great. I'm getting ready to go to see my daughters at the STEM Expo tonight.
Ooh, STEM.
Do some science projects.
All
yeah.
right. What part of the world are you in right now?
I'm in Mountain View, California.
All right. So
in the Bay Area.
It's evening time, so you still have a ton of time, right?
Yes.
To go do expo things. So that's super cool. What is the expo about?
So my younger daughter did reverse engineering. She took apart a computer mouse and found out what was inside and how all the parts worked and made a board and labeled it. And my older daughter worked on the accuracy of fitness trackers. So she got a bunch of fitness trackers and walked out on a track with them to see which one is more accurate.
Oh, sounds like a great blog. Like I would click immediately. We put so much faith in these things, right? As long as it's named fitness tracker, it's good. But
yep.
yeah,
and if it doesn't record, it didn't happen, right?
I would like to believe so. So I'm guessing she gathered a ton of data. Oh, sounds like fun. That's great. Thanks for supporting the younger generation. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
Well, do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history.
So I have spoken at several conferences. I'm a designer by trade and a visual designer, user experiences for websites, and I have a design team. And we are a very small piece in the delivery process. So I've spoken at conferences about how to get design more integrated into builds of software.
And the benefit of that is?
Your products are better because people like to look at them and they're easier to use.
Where can I click buy? Where do I go to click buy?
That's exactly what I do.
So where's the best place for someone that's listening to connect with you?
The best place to connect with me, I work for Symantec. So if you have ever purchased a Norton antivirus security product, you've seen my team's work.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. Wow, it's a pleasure. Wow. Like I've done a ton of antivirus work. Wow, it's amazing. Wow. So tell me, who did you learn that ability from? And I used it to the beginning of the conversation, which is super cool, which is the word support, right? And who better to talk about support than what you guys do? But from a personal perspective, who did you learn to be supportive from?
Probably from my parents. My parents were very supportive in pretty much everything that I did as a child and even on into adulthood. I grew up in Detroit, and we didn't have a lot of expendable income, but they always found ways for me to take music lessons or dance lessons, or they came and saw me in school plays. And when it was time for me to go to college, they supported my moving to New York and studying at NYU, even though I believe it was pretty hard for them to let go and let that happen. So it was probably being supportive from my parents.
That's amazing. I mean, like, it's really cool, right? That the mirror effect of our conversation starting with you talking about how you're supporting your children today. That's super cool. It really comes full circle, doesn't it?
It does. And hopefully teaching them to support other people in the world and eventually their own families.
Super cool. So why will you continue? Because it definitely carries a challenge, right? Choosing to be supportive. It means that, again, you could stay home and rest this evening, but you're going out, right? Why will you continue to be that person nevertheless? Because
everybody needs encouragement. And so if you aren't that person that's cheering for someone, they may never achieve their greatness. So it doesn't take a lot of effort sometimes to be supportive. Sometimes it does, but in other cases, it's just showing up.
What's one other thing, Amy, you've done consistently over the last 3 years?
So I am a distance runner. I'm actually going to run a marathon this weekend in Los Angeles. And I find that running 4 to 5 times a week, and I've been doing it for 20 years pretty consistently.
Wow.
if you have that 40 minutes, 45 minutes, just 4 or 5 times a week to be alone with your thoughts and process and work on problems and get everything in order, it makes me a better, more put together person.
And how does it make you feel?
Not crazy.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me, the tones that go with a runner when they get on the podcast, because the breath via words is so much longer. It's really fascinating to hear it in my ears, because you are strapped into my earbuds, right? And so many people I've spoken to, I get to see the patterns in the way they speak. Wow, runners, people that do deep meditation where they're holding their breath for long periods. Like you could spit probably like 25 words per sentence, right?
Sure, we'll go with that.
So just as someone that's listening, someone that may have the challenging day, the person that may have so much work that they can't imagine how they can even run, why they should possibly look at something that gets their heart going?
I wouldn't say necessarily running is for everyone, because I know there are people that absolutely hate it, but find that thing that you isolate for 45, 40 minutes a day just to have that quiet time mentally. It could be yoga, it could be going for a walk, it could be just meditation, just where you're allowed to be alone with your own thoughts and to work through things. I would say, yeah, everybody needs that.
Love it. Again, amazing audience. You're hearing it live from Amy Zuccaro. She's the director of global e-commerce user experience at Symantec. Please do connect with her right there. Amy, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Amy, what's your earliest childhood memory?
So I was probably my younger brother is 2.5 years younger than me. And my earliest memory is my mother was changing him and she asked me to go into her room and get some supplies for him, diapers, wipes, whatever, and bring them back to her. And I remember doing that.
How old were you then? What age did that make you?
Probably 2.5, 3, something like that.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
I had been an only child up until the birth of my brother, and that was kind of a cataclysmic event in my life, and it was the first time I remember being asked to help with something.
Ooh, so how do you see that memory of support connecting to who you are today?
There you go. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some sort of psychological reason for it, but...
Yeah, well, I do love the fact that we spoke about support, and to see you being that individual that is supporting your mother through her experiences with your brother, super cool to me.
Yeah.
There you go. You've been doing it since you were a little child. You could have chosen differently, couldn't you?
I could have. I probably could have. Also, in my spare time, I'm a CPR instructor, so... Maybe that has something to do with it too.
Again, support again. Ooh, you just keep supporting from A to Z. Pun intended. All right, Amy, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
I love U2, and Where the Streets Have No Name was the greatest song.
Ever.
Because it had the coolest video. It was the one where they had closed the streets and they were doing the rooftop concert, and coming of age in the MTV generation, the video was the song and the song was the video, and that was just such a good song.
Love it. All right. Well, Amy, we arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form, so it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Yes.
Amy, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
I don't know if I've consciously chosen someone, but sure,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Are you married?
Yes, I am.
You said you have 2 children, 2 girls, yeah?
Yep.
Do you believe in God?
I'm not sure.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
See, I used to live in New York, and so I can't sleep if it's really quiet, so I fall asleep with the TV on to provide some background noise for me. So I don't know if I'm watching it, but... it's on.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Probably more than 8, given the nature of my job.
Yeah. Amy, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Amy Zuccaro, what would you say that is?
I would say it's you do you. You be your own person, and I'm not going to judge you for that or tell you the right way to be. You can figure that out on your own and be your own person.
Love it. It sounded like a New Yorker. Your tone went into the New York accent right there.
Still in there somewhere.
Well, again, Amy, this was such a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I don't know. I think we covered everything. So just keep being yourself.
Love it. You too, right? You too. Amy Zuccaro, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-minute convos with Angel Jones.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazon Enterprise.